I want you to know it's okay.
You was so hurt. How could he just shout at you like that? You did nothing. It was him who approached you. You wiped your tears and stepped. You heard a call for you, so you halted and turned back. There stood a boy. You smiled hesitantly. He approached you. Do you remember me? He asked. You nodded. Of course I do. You teach students martial arts, am I right? He smiled and nodded. He sighed before saying, I have been watching you since you came with him in the library. You frowned. What does he have to say? Actually, you are the first whom I saw with him. And for your information, let me tell you, he suffers from multiple personality disorder. You was a bit astonished. He knows, but how? I don't know everything about him, but he is depressed, distressed. I tried helping him, but he didn't let me close to him. Once he tried to kill me too. Your eyes widened. You gasped. He smiled and shook his head. It's not his mistake. I was basically invading too much and was a bit harsh. So he chuckled and looked at you. I suggest you help him, but distance yourself from him. I heard how he yelled at you and insulted you where you did nothing wrong, but I know, but he is depressed. We should help him, right? He's lonely, and what if you don't have to invade YN? That's for your own good. You think on it, but no one can help someone if you have to distance yourself from the same person. I would love to help him. You stated. He chuckled. You looked at him and found him smiling. I knew it. Actually, I am his brother-in-law. You gasped. What? He smiled and nodded. His sister, actually stepsister, is married to me. So yeah, I basically knew him a bit well. Stepsister. His mom left him, and that's how his father got married to a lady for the sake of Jungkook. And she already had a girl, so yeah, you nodded in understanding. You couldn't help but ask, how did he get this disorder? As much as I know, maybe because none of his stepsister or stepmom treated him well. I just don't know the main reason, but it must be something complicated. That's why he was excluded away from the family, and his grandparents bought him a house, but unfortunately, they too left him. You know that. All I could do is wish you good luck. Hope you can change him, and I really want someone to care for him. You know what I mean. You know that. If you wouldn't have told me, I would have still helped him. You answered sassily. He shook his head, smiling. Fell in love already, he smirked. You gasped a bit. What? I don't know what are you saying. I must go. Bye. You left and you could actually feel your cheeks heating up. I don't love him, right? Maybe I like him, I guess. You smacked yourself but blushed harder. You was walking through streets as the thoughts of him kept repeating in your mind. He really would have a dreadful past, so he is diagnosed with it. With those thoughts, you reached your apartment. It was a lunchtime already. You and Jungkook didn't have a talk since then, nor you both glanced at each other. You wanted to but didn't dare. What if he wasn't him? What if he again starts insulting you? You was scared. You were sitting alone as Zendaya was sick and had no friends rather than her. You was eating when you felt presence besides you. You slowly looked and choked on your food when you found the person that you would been thinking about from night. What are you doing here? You couldn't manage but shuddered out as you were so scared. You backed away a bit, fear visible in your eyes. He frowned and looked down sadly. Did I hurt you too? Now you won't be my best friend anymore? His voice was soft. Oh, so it's him, Kimchi? Is it you? He looked at and smiled slightly. Yes, Barry, you blushed slightly. Do you probably don't want to be my friend no more? You frowned and quickly scooted a bit closer to him. Who said that? We are best friends, and I would never cut off with my best friend. He suddenly smiled cheekily, hugging you. You was startled a bit, but you knew he has a clingy personality. You giggled. He pulled out. Thank you so much, Barry. I love you so much. You looked at him shocked. He was smiling widely. You smiled back too, ignoring thousands of butterflies that erupted in your stomach. Wanna have some? I guess you haven't ate anything, right? He shook his head as you shared your meal with him. He started eating with an adorable pout on his lips. You looked at him fondly as he fed you some too. Barry, have you talked to my other alters? You sighed sadly. Yes, one named as JK. He gasped a bit. When? He asked hesitantly. Yesterday, when you slept in the library, you answered with an awkward smile. What he did, his voice was laced with worries and concern. You smiled a bit. He just yelled at me, and your voice was trembling a bit as you remembered his words. Barry, what happened? You snapped out. Come on, our class is gonna start. Please don't change the topic, Barry. You gulped. He just called me a bitch and gold digger and told me to stay away from every one of you. His eyes turned teary. You gasped and held his hand. Hey, that's absolutely okay. It wasn't you. It was him. So come on, don't be sad. I'm okay and I can understand. You assured him. He sobbed and hugged you tightly. I am sorry, it's all my fault. If I wouldn't have been friends with you, then you patted his back. It's not your fault, nor it's JK's. He doesn't trust me and wants to protect Jungkook, so it's fine. Don't feel bad about it. And hey, I want to be friends with you, okay? He pulled and sniffed. Really? You chuckled and nodded, wiping his tiny tears. He blushed. So let's go to class now? You asked softly. He nodded. But sit with me, okay? He asked, pouting. You smiled and nodded. He bunny smiled and dragged you to the class. You both sat on the middle bench. Everyone gave you a worried and shocked looks. You glanced at Kimchi. He tried to avoid the looks he was getting. You sighed and ridged him a bit. He looked at you, frowning. Let's go to the last one. He suddenly smiled and nodded. You both settled on the last bench, but the looks you was getting didn't stop yet. It was like they are worried. You shrugged and tried distracting Kimchi too. The professor entered and he too looked at you worriedly. The lecture started and suddenly the figure beside you was awfully silent. You gulped. Did he change? You glanced at him sneakily and he seemed to be looking at the textbook. Jungkook, it should be him, right? Miss Ryan, concentrate. The professor yelled and you flinched quickly looking at the board as you stood up and bowed as an apology. You sigh, you being you. You glanced again at him, but he was the same. How could you be friends? How could you be friends with him when he don't even look around? You took a deep breath, saying, "Hey Jungkook," you whispered, yelled. He glanced at you, and that was enough to keep your mouth shut. His hazel brown eyes, which held nothing but beauty. He quickly looked away. You kept hand on your chest and found your heart beating. Oh my god, what impact he has on you. His every personality hits you really differently. You took some deep breaths and again looked at him. I am Ryan. Hi, actually I met your other personalities. He looked at you quickly. You flinched a bit. He was shocked and worried. What? Wow, his voice was so you shooed your thoughts away as you answered. Yes, I met them. And he cut you off, saying, "You know everything about me?" He shuddered, were enough to make you understand how scared, worried, and distressed he was. "Jungkook, don't panic. I only met them. I don't know anything about you." "You sent me to an asylum too, right?" It clenches your heart. He looked so vulnerable and scared. He was breathing heavily. "No, Jungkook, never. Will I ever do that? Please trust me. I would never do that, Jungkookie." He looked at you with glossy eyes. You smiled, assuring, "You can trust me. Now come on, take deep breaths with me." He looked at you for a while without saying anything and breathed away. You smiled widely. He smiled slightly at you and your heart fluttered again. "Thank you," he mumbled. You smiled warmly and stuck out your hand. He looked at you questionably. "Can we be friends?" He frowned. He was confused, scared. "Hey, don't worry, we can be friends only if you will be okay and trust me fully, okay?" He gulped and looked away. Without saying anything, you frowned and averted your gaze. To your surprise, the lecture was already over. You sighed, rolling your eyes in annoyance as you packed your backpack. "Are you going to be here? Do you have any problem?" A cold voice came in response. "Oh shit, Ryan, come on, run." Why he has to dissociate so quickly? He is rarely in his own self. You didn't respond and tried to run when he stood in front of you suddenly. You coughed a bit. What? Move aside, let me go." "Why?" You trembled as he came a bit closer. You backed away when his piercing gaze made you look small. "Because I wanna go." You didn't look up at him because you thought you will pass out if you did so. "Why are you always bothering me, huh?" he coldly asked. Yet again. "I am not. I was only worried for you." "Why are you worried? Because I am handsome or I have money?" He spoke. You gazed up at him and found him looking blankly at you and standing so close. "It's not the moment to be weak, Ryan. Why do you every time thinking the same about me, huh? First that JK and now you." "Jungkook," he spoke. "Okay, I'm not the one like that, okay? I'm not gold digger. I'm not gold digger. Understand, Mr. Jungkook?" You spoke angrily, looking straight into his eyes. He was shocked. "And also, I never forced Jungkook or any one of you to be my friend. I'm giving you the time to trust me, only if you don't know." He was just looking at you with an unreadable gaze without responding to anything. "Now, why are you quiet, huh? Move aside, let me go." "Why should I?" he asked in a low voice. You huffed and climbed on the desk. He looked at you astonishment. You smirked and started jumping like a monkey on the desks, going past him. He turned back. You smirked and winked at him. You waved and went. You waved and went out proudly, even if you was totally scared and half dead from inside. Jungkook, who was standing there looking at you until you disappeared, was shocked yet amazed. He smiled a bit but quickly suppressed the smile. "I shouldn't smile. Why I am then? She's seriously something," he whispered to himself.